I've stood in front of this house a couple times in recent history, maybe the last month or so, and I've talked to you about, technically, this is an illegal house. If it was over 200 square feet, I wouldn't even be able to build it because I didn't have the codes and the permits and the billions of dollars you got to have. I say billions, exaggeration for those who are going to critique me. But it is like $1 billion. Let me rephrase that. It is like $1 billion. When you don't have the money, it's out of reach. This wasn't out of reach. This was something I could do. But government makes it nearly impossible to do this in a lot of municipalities. And half the country agrees with the government that there should be restrictions. I made a poll just the other day that asked, should government tell you how to build your house? And a good portion of the audience said, no, they shouldn't. But of course, there's a good portion of the audience that say, yes, you should. And the reasoning behind it is you need some sort of regulation. So if you sell it, you don't hurt anybody else, or that your children won't get hurt. And I love this one. So the fire department doesn't get hurt when they go into your house when it's burning down. We're protecting everybody, but we're taking away the homeowner's freedom to be able to build a house. If I wasn't able to build this, I would have to do just like everybody else. Go get a job and complain my entire life how I have to work all the time so I can buy a house that I can't afford. You know, the American dream. Pretend I'm happy with this big house that I can't afford. But Carolyn was just talking today about going out and doing something. She says, you know, I don't want to go out and do anything. I like it here. This is my entertainment. This is my life. I love it. I have the American dream. I was able to build a little house that we can afford with a piece of property that we can go down and goof around with the chickens and pet the cat, burn the firewood, split the firewood. I've got the American dream. It may not be your dream, but it definitely is mine, and government doesn't really want us to do it. But we have to trust everybody. And then at the same time, we don't trust anybody. It's so confusing to me. I don't go to the doctor. I refuse to go to the doctor. Well, what if you break your leg? Well, there's a few things I will say that the doctor may be pretty good at. They've been setting bones for a long time, putting a cast on. But I have broke bones and not gone to the doctor. I dislocated my ankle. I mean, it was completely dislocated. And I made my own cast, and I finished up the work week in the cast and some crutches. I didn't go to the doctor. And that weekend, I popped that thing back into place. Oh, so no, but I didn't go to the doctor. The last time I went to the doctor, I had hives all over me. I mean, just all over me. It was terrible. And I went to the urgent care. I had insurance, but I also had a copay. And I remember, I think, man, this is expensive for having insurance that I pay into with my work. And I got this terrible copay. And I go to the doctor, and they're not able to help me. And they put me on steroids. Of course, that didn't work. And then I went back again, and they gave me more steroids. Well, that just made my ankle swell, because now I'm getting too much steroids, I guess. Went back a third time, and they gave me scabies medicine. Well, I knew I didn't have scabies. Turned out, after I did my own research, and I was miserably uncomfortable. It was driving me insane. I figured out I had a mold allergy. Lived in an apartment. Apparently there was mold in the walls. And after all my research, and I'm not a doctor, but after all my research, I realized that was the problem. I've gotten away from the mold, and things have gotten a lot better for me. But I've also gotten off carbohydrates. What I'm going to talk about here in a little bit about carbohydrates. But we have to trust everybody. You know, we go to the doctor, and a large portion of the American people trust doctors completely, without question. So they go to the doctor tells them, oh, well, you know, you're a diabetic. We're going to give you full of insulin, and you're going to eat carbs. They tell people this. So we go to the doctor, and we trust them. Okay, doc. Well, then we get an injury or a sickness, and they tell us that they want to do surgery. Well, I'm going to get a second opinion. What? I thought you trusted doctors. I thought they were the smartest people on the planet. Well, in my opinion, doctors are the most dangerous people on the planet. I mean, they are absolutely dangerous. What kind of crazy, insane thing is it that we give cancer patients medicine that cause cancer? It is a derivative, or at least it was discovered with mustard gas. Now, mustard gas is a chemical weapon they used in World War I or World War II, and it killed people. That was its job. And they thought, and some doctor decided, I'm going to do a test on mustard gas to see if it kills cancer. And they did. It killed cancer, and it just popped a new cancer somewhere else. Well, that's a great idea. Well, how much money can we make off this? The last person I knew that got cancer died, don't get me wrong, went through the chemotherapy and was being charged $8,000 per dose. And I think she had to go, I don't remember, 2 or 3 times a week for several weeks. Wow, that's great. So we're going to make this patient take medicine that's going to cause cancer to cure cancer. So in 1 year, guess what? Cancer came back. Well, completely different spot. It was all over the place. She lit up like a Christmas tree. And of course, she passed away. But the doctor made plenty of money. But we trust doctors. Doctors are so smart. Well, my grandpa was a naturalist, a chiropractor and a naturalist. And he has helped people. Of course, he's passed now. He has helped people that doctors gave up on. You'll never walk again. And within weeks, they were walking again. One of the things that my grandpa was good at, and nobody ever trusted him with this, I do. I trust it. I mean, I would rather die using his formula than going to a doctor and using theirs. That's how much I trust it. There was 3 occasions my grandpa cured someone with cancer. One of his patients, the patient come in and said, yeah, doc, you know, I got cancer. They've already told me how much time I got to live, so I just wanted to come by and say, you know, I really appreciate all the things you've done for me. Grandpa says, well, I mean, if you would like for me to treat you, what do you got to lose? So Grandpa treated him with this stuff. I'm not going to tell you what it is because YouTube would take my video down. And don't ask, because I've tried that before and YouTube blocks the comments. So the guy went on Grandpa's advice and was cured. Later, my grandmother got spinal cancer. Well, she didn't even go to the doctor after she found out what she had. So again, Grandpa took care of her. And I think that she got that when she was in her 60s. And I believe she lived to close to, 85 years old, something like that. Terminal cancer, and she survived it for all that time. My grandpa himself had prostate cancer, and his doctor said he was done. And what was funny about that is he came home and he was talking to my dad. And he said, son, I don't know what to do. I'm going to die. And Dad says, what are you talking about? You're a doctor who has saved lives that other doctors couldn't. You mean to tell me you can't fix this? And I guess it woke Grandpa up, and he said, yeah, I can. And again, he lived well into his 80s. And Grandpa wasn't big into making a bunch of money. You know, he had a reasonable office fee. He wasn't looking to get rich. He was looking to help people. Doctors have to follow the code. Whatever their instructions say, they have to do. They can't go out on a limb and say, okay, I would like to do this or try this with this patient. If you have cancer, you have chemo. There's no other options out there. So another thing is when I do a poll, they tell me in the poll that, oh yeah, government's got to tell me how to build a house to be safe. Well, that's great. Okay, so they're going to tell us how to be safe. Then why do we vote? It's confusing to me. If we trust government to tell us how to build our house, then why are we always changing politicians? Don't we trust them? It's confusing. It's double talk, just like the doctors. I'm going to go to the doctor, and you know, doctors are great. I'm going to get a second opinion. Government's great. They're going to tell me how to build my house, but I'm going to vote somebody else in. I don't understand the logic. You see this hypocrisy in each person's mind, and they don't even realize the hypocrisy they're putting themselves through. I love my doctor, I don't trust him. I love my government, I don't trust them. Well, make up your mind. I don't trust anybody. That's why I live here. And the other thing I was talking about is food. We all trust the opinion of not only the government, but doctors when it comes to our food choices. They all tell us that meat is bad for us. Vegetables are good for us. And then carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates in my mind are poison. People will tell me, you gotta have carbohydrates. They give you energy. Well, so does meat. If you eat just meat, you don't need carbohydrates. You're getting all the energy you need from it. But if I told you to eat sugar, just sugar for supper, you would say I'm crazy. Yet you go and eat spaghetti. Yeah, there's some meat products in it, don't get me wrong. But the majority of spaghetti is sugar, carbohydrates. Your body turns carbohydrates into sugar. It's sugar. So when you go to the doctor and you have diabetes, they pump you full of insulin and then tell you to eat sugar, carbohydrates. So they don't even know what they're talking about. And the reason is because carbohydrate food is cheap and easy to make. Bread is a carbohydrate. I've gotten off carbohydrates and I just went to a straight meat diet. Now, I will say this and nobody will believe me, or at least very few people will believe me. Since I've stopped eating carbohydrates and have just started eating meat, all my aches and pains have went away. All those old man pains have went away, all of them. My shoulder used to hurt terribly bad, so bad I couldn't sleep on it. It would keep me up at night. And it was from splitting all this firewood. So I got off carbohydrates and I started eating meat, and the shoulder pain went away. And I've told you about my asthma. I used to have asthma. Since I got off carbohydrates, my asthmas went away. What it was is that bronchial tube that you breathe down was getting inflamed. That's what carbohydrates does. So does some vegetables. Well, actually, all vegetables have a poison in them that causes inflammation. But carbohydrates specifically, anything corn products, wheat, grains, all have carbohydrates. And so it swells your injury. So if you have an injury, shoulder injury, the injury's there, yeah, it hurts, yeah, but it can be tolerable. What hurts most significantly is the swelling. So if your back hurts, you got an injury on the back. Carolyn's got an injury on the back. And she used to be laid up for weeks at a time. She got off carbohydrates and she can still feel the pain, but I've never seen her so active. The swelling has went down and she has not been laid up since she started eating just meat and got off the carbohydrates. So if doctors are so smart, then why is it that I can cure myself of injuries, inflammation, asthma, allergies? Since I've gotten on meat, I haven't had even a hay fever. Why are they telling us that meat is bad for us? Well, because it's expensive, number one. Beef is very expensive. It's easier for them to produce corn products and wheat products and shove that garbage down your face telling you it's good for you than it is to produce a cow. Well, now they're finding that the cholesterol from meat products is good for you. Wait a minute, who am I trusting? I'm going to trust myself because I'm tired of trusting others, because they're all in it for their own reasons and it's not for you. So if you can click that up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about the tiny house. So I hope I can inspire you to think for yourself so you don't have to get a second opinion. Thanks for watching.